Of all the smartphones Samsung has released this year, the Galaxy S23 FE is the one people have questioned the most. Not because it isn't needed, it actually is, since we wanted a successor to the S21 FE, and there's no Galaxy S74 this year. But Exynos makes a return, and wow, look at those bezels. Well, time to whip up the average consumer card. Works every time. The Galaxy S23 FE is an interesting device, now not because of performance or any major surprises, but more of the fact that while this has pretty much the same design uniformity as the rest of Samsung's lineup this year, the one thing that would have separated it from the A series design-wise is those bezels, but it is noticeably thicker than what we got with the S21 FE and can barely be told apart from the Galaxy A54. And the whole tech community can't seem to get over it because this is probably the only phone that costs this much with bezels this thick. And that accompanied with the fact that some regions are getting the Exynos 2200, Nigeria included. But are these deal breakers? Well, that is left for you to decide. I mean, granted, those bezels are thick, but does the average consumer really care or even know what bezels are? And it might also surprise you to know that Exynos 2200 has been optimized quite well, and it's probably a solid fit for this device. I said probably because there are still some gray areas which we'll discuss later on in this video. Now for a start, the Galaxy S23 FE cost about $600. I got mine at 613,000 naira here in Nigeria, but it has already increased in price and it's now 717,000 naira. That's wild. Now for around this price, if you look well enough, you can get an S22 Ultra, the Snapdragon version, or even an S23 Plus. Although you might only get these as open boxes, but that simply means that unless you're particular about getting a brand new Samsung device, the S23 FE probably won't be your first choice. Let's also not ignore the fact that you can get a Pixel 7 or the Xiaomi 13T that costs less actually. So where exactly does that leave the S23 FE and who is it for? Well, I'll answer that later on in the video. For now, let's focus more on how this device fares and if it is good enough should you decide to pick one up. Samsung's FE line of devices have always been sort of the bridge between the flagship and the mid-range Samsung devices. It is flagship but not quite flagship, and mid-range but also not quite mid-range. Now sporting mostly specifications from last year's S22 series but toned down a bit in build quality and other features. Samsung did not release an A74 this year, probably because the A70 series were already getting too close to the FE. I was actually recommending the S21 FE more last year whenever someone mentioned getting an A73 because it wasn't that far apart in price. Now the S23 FE comes in the signature flagship packaging, which provides little to no unboxing experience, so just phone and cable. We get it in a couple of interesting colors. I chose the purple one, which seems to be the most popular. There is nothing much to say about the design other than the bezels being as thick as what's on the A54 while having the same Gorilla Glass 5 on the display and rear. But to properly separate it from the A series in build quality, it has an aluminum frame, and that makes a lot of difference how it feels on the hand. You can easily tell it's the more premium phone. It displays Samsung's dynamic AMOLED with up to 1450 nits of peak brightness and HDR10 Plus support. Now I need not dwell on the quality of Samsung displays, I believe we all know what they're capable of. As for the bezel everyone seems to be complaining about, while I think it should have been slimmer, it really does not affect user experience in any way, and it's something you don't spend time looking at, nor does it make the display unattractive. All the while I've used it, at no point did I pick it up and was conscious of the bezel size. But that does not excuse the fact that it has the most bezels on any phone around its price. Now while that is not a deal breaker, it should have been better. I mean the S21 FE had really slim bezels. Also had Gorilla Glass Victus on the display by the way, plus a plastic back, so it's actually a more durable phone. Now back to this, we get 120Hz refresh rate, which is pretty smooth. As much as you want to liken this to the A54, 120Hz here compared to the A54, and you can tell that it offers that flagship One UI fluidity. From my observation, the refresh rate while set to adaptive only switches between 60 and 120, not lower, not in between. Which makes me want to compare it to Xiaomi's 13T, which has a 144Hz refresh rate and goes as low as 30Hz. The software on the S23 FE is the complete version of One UI, same one on the flagship, so you get that flagship One UI experience, including support for DeX unlike with the A series. It's currently version 5.1 and current Android version 13. One UI 6 and Android 14 is already at the door. Now with 4 years of OS upgrades, there's no complaints as far as the software performance and support is concerned. There are two storage variants for the S23 FE, 128 and 256GB, both with 8GB of RAM. There is no expandable storage option. As an improvement from the S21 FE, this supports eSIM alongside dual nano SIM cards. The optical fingerprint scanner works just fine in my experience. Now, performance-wise, I've not had any problems using the S23 FE for day-to-day tasks. And while it's an FE device, it does perform like a flagship thanks to the Exynos 2200, which has been well optimized for the S23 FE. Most might prefer the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 version, which is meant for the US, but there's really nothing to complain about the Exynos 2200 except for gaming, which we'll talk about shortly. It doesn't heat up, nor does it have any of the early complaints associated with the S22 series of last year, which had the same processor. Samsung has properly optimized it, also improving the cooling system here for better efficiency. That is also evident when running high graphics games for long sessions of gaming. I've never had it overheat or show any signs of abnormal heating when gaming. It games just fine, but yeah, there's a but. While playing Call of Duty Mobile, I get occasional skips, not lags, just frame skips, which shouldn't be happening with a device of this caliber. It doesn't happen frequently, but it happens. That aside, you can game just fine with no heating concerns or frame drops for long sessions of gaming. The max settings you can go for Call of Duty Mobile is high graphics and max frame rate, or very high graphics and very high frame rate. It also plays PUBG Mobile well and offers HDR graphics settings and ultra frame rate. If you drop the graphics to smooth, you can get extreme frame rate option. There is no 90 FPS option. It has come a long way in optimization compared to what it was initially with the S22 last year. However, when compared to the Xiaomi 13T, it doesn't do just as good. This offers ultra frame rate for Call of Duty Mobile, also offers as high as ultra HDR graphics for PUBG and 90 FPS. So if you're a core gamer, the 13T is probably a better option to consider. Now, if you want to see a comparison between these two, let me know in the comments. We get 4500 mAh battery with the S23 FE and 25 watts fast charging. It also supports 15 watts fast wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. Battery life has been solid for me, can go the whole day and average 6 to 7 hours of screen on time with average use. In the camera department, we see an improved 50 megapixel main camera, which is an upgrade from the 12 megapixel on the S21 FE, alongside an 8 megapixel telephoto camera with 3x optical zoom and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. The selfie camera is 10 megapixels, that's less than 32 megapixels we had on its predecessor. The Galaxy S23 FE is capable of shooting 8K videos at 24 frames per second. That's actually solid. You will get good 8K footage. However, stabilization at 8K is not as good as you get with 4K and below. 8K is also only possible from the rear camera. It can shoot 4K at 30 or 60 FPS from both the selfie and rear cameras. The low light video performance is actually quite impressive. So are the shots taken in low light. In some settings, it automatically detects and processes the images well, even when you do not engage super night mode. Overall, I find the cameras impressive all around, and there's barely anything to complain about. While the selfie camera is just 10 megapixels, the results are sharp and impressive. One interesting thing I find about the Galaxy S23 FE is that while its selfie camera is just 10 megapixels, it does a really good job. It's quite a sunny day, so yeah. It does a really good job to give you sharp selfies. Video is fine. I think you can shoot only 4K 60 FPS from the selfie camera. If you want to do 8K, you have to do it at from the rear camera. But it's quite fine. Tell me what you think about the image quality, video quality, microphone quality. I think stabilization is also well done. So, to answer the question of who the S23 FE is for, it is a fan edition phone, so I'd say for the hardcore Samsung fans that are not bothered about the cost or how it compares to the competition. Because say what you will, this still offers flagship performance for the most part. It stands high above the A series in performance and build quality. However, it is still a hard phone to recommend, especially here in Nigeria for its price, which can get you an S22 Ultra or S23 Plus as I mentioned earlier. Simply put, the S23 FE is overpriced. Now if you can get it at a significantly discounted price, then it's a good one. Discounts will probably come, Black Friday is coming. Another option is the Xiaomi 13T, which you'll find the better device for gaming and it's more affordable. I'll also be comparing the S23 FE to the Pixel 8. Let me know which one you want to see first, comparison with the 13T or Pixel 8. Now you can check here for my review of Xiaomi's 13T and here for the Galaxy A54. That's all. Peace.